We'll wait a couple minutes. We should have some theme music.
I can't even think of a good breastfeeding song right now.
I know, right?
I don't think there's one that exists. I can think of like snippets of
Y'all should make something up.
We should. We need a theme song.
Make something up. That's right. Every superhero need a theme song. Y'all know that.
That may be my ticket out of here right there. Me making my theme song and it go viral.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
And then we could say we knew you win.
They'll mess around, learn how to speak some German.
You know, I can add that in there.
That's right. Oh, you do a German dub? You really be hot, girl.
German is not a beautiful language. It is not.
Yeah, it got a lot of hard consonants and stuff in it.
It's very masculine. So I might have to do something like French or maybe
now French is smooth.
It's really beautiful.
French is definitely smooth.
Yeah.
Je suis en parler un peu.
Okay, Mr. Art.
You can have a cameo.
What I'm saying, man. Look, hey, look, Bianca.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Excuse me. So welcome everyone to our first episode of Milk Minutes, presented to you by Healthy Start Center for Urban Breastfeeding. I will be your host tonight. My name is Bianca Suggs. I am the Director of Maternal and Child Health for Healthy Start. I oversee the Center for Urban Breastfeeding, CUP for short. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Center for Urban Breastfeeding is Healthy Start's initiative to address and bridge the gap of breastfeeding initiation for Black mothers and Black babies. Our services are specifically targeted to Black mothers residing in Allegheny County. So in order to receive our services, you have to be Black and you have to reside in Allegheny County. And our services include educational classes, 24/7 access to certified lactation consultants through our Latch line, which you could find in the chat, 412-545-2022, and press option 1, and you will be connected to a CLC within the first 20 minutes. So in order to jumpstart this educational series that we've started, Milk Minutes, we want to bring in the fathers in honor of this past Father's Day. So shout out to all the fathers. Happy belated Father's Day. So today we are going to discuss what role fathers can play in the beautiful journey of breastfeeding. And today we have as our guests IBCLC Renae Green, and then Fatherhood Coordinator, Mr. Art Terry. So yes, thank you so much for joining us today in this conversation. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves, Renae, we'll start with you first. What is an IBCLC for those who don't know?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Renae Green. I'm an international board certified lactation consultant. So that's what an IBCLC stands for, which means I just did a whole lot of things to receive this credential to provide breastfeeding support. I won't get into all of that. A little bit more about myself. I started out working at Healthy Start actually within the CUP program, the Center for Urban Breastfeeding, and did a lot of program managerial work and also lactation support for them. Currently, my role is at McGee Women's Hospital. I'm a lactation consultant there, and I'm still partnering with Healthy Start as a lactation consultant contractor. So I am still available for some of you who call the line and happen to get me when I'm on call. And just to kind of add, breastfeeding is very important to me. I breastfed my own child for 11 months. It was quite a journey. Working and going to school while breastfeeding, and really getting into what it is to be a new mother, and also someone who has never had anyone in front of me or in my family breastfeeding before me. So I had a lot of challenges to get through myself, and that's kind of what lit the torch for me to get involved in this work and support moms who look like me, who may have the same barriers or may questions, concerns, challenges that I face myself. So that's why I'm here. Happy belated Father's Day. And I'm excited to talk with you all about breastfeeding and partners.
That's so nice. Hi, everybody. My name's Art Terry, and I am the fatherhood coordinator here at Healthy Start. My history is a little bit different in that I come to Healthy Start after spending close to 4 years at the Allegheny County Health Department's Maternal Child Health Division, trying to implement some fatherhood-related services. The goal here at Healthy Start is a simple goal. It is to allow fathers to embrace the process of birth and raising children, as well as understand how important it is and how valuable their participation is in this particular arena. I've been fortunate in that I have been around the Pittsburgh area for quite some time. And this is just one of those events that really brings great joy to me, because it presents another opportunity for me to have an opportunity to just talk to folks about the importance of men becoming involved in their families. Thanks.
Thank you both so much. Again, you guys both come with a wealth of knowledge, so really excited to have you for this conversation. So first, let's just jump right into it. I know that speaking for myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one to feel this way, but mothers may feel some pressure, like they're all alone in this beautiful journey of breastfeeding, because let's face it, we're the ones producing the milk. The baby either has to be on us or the milk has to be pumped through us. So what role can a father, a boyfriend, a husband play in this breastfeeding journey?
That's a great question. Just to kind of start from the beginning, like you said, there is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to even produce the milk, to make enough milk for the baby, and how much is enough and things like that. And the biggest thing about breastfeeding that I like to put into people's perspective is that mom and baby are becoming interdependent upon each other, right? So it takes baby being at the breast for mom to produce milk, and mom needs baby at the breast so that she can, right? And make enough supply so that baby is thriving and healthy and receiving enough, and may not need anything other than her breast milk, right? But in that process, I think a lot of it does make it feel like the father is abandoned outside of that. And because how do fathers or other support persons really play a role into supporting something that they don't really do directly? And so in my experience, from what I see and how I engage with fathers, is in those first few days, a baby does not come into the world actually knowing how to breastfeed, contrary to what we all believe, right? Because it seems like it would be something very natural that babies do. And honestly, most of them will, in the first skin to skin hour, they will breastfeed and latch on and do their thing. And you're like, oh my goodness, my baby has it. And then, the next time you try to feed them, you're like, this isn't working. What is going on here? A lot of what happens in the first 2 weeks of breastfeeding is primarily mom teaching baby how to breastfeed, right? Babies don't comprehend anything you say to them. They can't read anything, and they're not watching any video to try to figure out how to do anything, right? So the only way they can learn is by what you show them with action, right? And so the biggest thing for me is, whenever mom is learning how to teach her baby how to breastfeed, dad needs to be right in the room with her, right? Because the biggest thing that's going to happen is mom has to balance holding baby, right? And then she has to hold her breast. So who is the one that's going to stimulate baby to keep sucking? Because what do all newborns do when they first arrive into this world? They're going to sleep. but they're going to
That's
sleep,
right.
right?
Yeah, it's
They're
true. Yeah.
sleeping. You got to wake them up if they, and I think the idea is that, remember, babies are learning how to work for food, right? We all work for food every day. We get up, we go to work, we get some money, and we eat, right? We need the money to pay for what we eat, whether it's groceries or if you're eating out, whatever, right? And it's hard work for us, on an everyday basis. Can you imagine a baby that just came from the womb where it was warm, dark, and they had a heartbeat, symphony playing all day, right?
And
They
had
never
nothing to
had to
worry about.
feed, right? They never had to feed with their mouths. Everything they
Right.
needed was given to them through the umbilical cord. So they have to learn how to do this. So when mom's holding baby across her breast and holding and propping her breast, because breasts are soft, they need to be firmed up with her hand. And she's doing that, and baby latches on, baby takes a couple sucks, and then baby stops, right? So then dad would be the ideal person to come in and start to stimulate baby, start to like stimulate baby to make them want to suck again, whether that's like pushing, squeezing on their hand very gently, blowing on their face, using a wet wipe, tickling their feet, anything, pushing up on their jaw. All of those things would be helpful in getting that all started.
That is fantastic information. And I think one of the things that we have to look at here also is when you talk about why the father's role is important and why he should be able to support it, I think that's the real thing we need to understand is that it becomes easier if we let him know how important it is. So, I mean, if you look at the actual impact of breastfeeding and what it actually does for the family, breastfeeding lowers the risks, the medical risks for our children. There's less risk of asthma, less risk of ear infections, less risk of diarrhea and vomiting, of type 2 diabetes, less risk of SIDS. Let's not forget that breastfeeding also saves lives because, if 90% of available families breastfed, that will save 1,000 lives per year. We got to understand that as well. And most importantly, it saves money. We know that we are living in difficult economic times, and the value of a free source of nutrition for our newborn infants is invaluable. Really, it's an incalculable cost. It is believed that we could save approximately $1,500 per year if we just entirely breastfed our child for a single year. If you think about that, I'm sure I haven't had to buy any lately myself, but I would imagine people spend roughly $30, $40 a week on formula sometimes easily. So if you take that, you multiply that times the 50 weeks in a year, if you spend $40, that's $2,000 right there. And I'm sure we could all find an additional use for $2,000 with a newborn in the home. So definitely, I think the biggest advantage to letting dad know why he should be supportive in breastfeeding is exactly that, because it is the ideal family bonding time. It's perfect. It is an opportunity for all three pieces of this unit to come together as one. And everybody has a valuable function to perform in the midst of this play that we're going through right now. It's also very necessary that we understand the value of the cost savings. I can't reiterate that enough. Okay, $2,000 a year you can save. It's only $1,000 a year if you do it for 6 months, but that's $1,000 you had that you didn't have before. And secondarily, those health benefits just have to be identified as some of the primary advantages to fathers being supportive in the breastfeeding environment. Sometimes you guys pointed out a real important thing. The men feel left out. That's an ego thing. That's an esteem thing. That's a why don't I fit in thing. So one of the things that we try to do here at Healthy Start is by providing education, by providing information, and by providing an opportunity for fathers to get engaged in the birth process prenatally, by being involved in those prenatal pregnancy appointments and doctor visits and things like that. You have the opportunity here to develop a plan for how you're going to approach breastfeeding your child before birth. That's imperative that you take the opportunity to do that if you can. Figure out how you're going to get what you need to get, when you need to get it, how it's going to be done. Learn the importance, dad, of helping mom manage her over-engorged breasts, if that's the case. Learn the importance of how to properly massage her breasts. Learn the importance of allowing mom to have some time for herself after this very, very draining process. We have to understand that our responsibilities lie in 5 areas. As dads, we're mandated to get better at self-care, self-awareness, family skills, parenting skills, and relationship skills. These very valuable parenting skills that can be employed during the breastfeeding process are the types of skills that will guarantee you a lifelong time of joy with your child, because it will create a bond. A bond that's unmistakable and a bond that's irreplaceable.
And you know what? I want to just piggyback off of something you said too. The other idea of it is mom needs your support to even go through with this process, right?
Mom needs your support, absolutely.
One of the biggest reasons why women will stop breastfeeding is because no one around them is encouraging them and motivating them, right? If you as a support person, as a partner, as a father, as a husband, what have you, if you aren't saying we got this or reinforcing what you learned in the education classes, what you saw when you were with the lactation consultant, she may give up. And
It'd be real easy.
Once mom gives up, the baby's giving up too. There's no, the baby can't do it on their own. So I think it's also important to know that your role is also to be that champion for them.
No, and understanding, you know what I mean, that once you do start buying formula, it's very hard to stop. We all get that. But also understanding that there may be certain situations where breastfeeding is not possible in the event that we have hypoallergenic kids, that there are certain folks, you know what I mean, who develop certain medical conditions or allergies that prevent it. Then, of course, we have to examine alternative methods. But you hit it right on the head. He has to be the support. He has to be the key supporter, the key driver of the importance of that process inside that home. I personally believe it's not a difficult role for him to adopt, simply because if he is aware of his own value to the unit, then he's aware of how important it is for him to allow mom to do the very best can for their progeny, for them to be successful out here. So I agree 100% with that.
Thank you both. So next question, what's an example of a schedule that both mom, baby, and father can develop on this breastfeeding journey?
I got something for that one right there, because it's a situation I just had to deal with not too long ago. Got a young couple, a great young couple, really, really, really lovely young folks with a brand new baby. And mom's home taking care of the baby. She's trying to breastfeed. Young fella's out working very hard at a manual labor job, and he's a very tired young man. He's one of them guys that leaves at 6 o'clock in the morning to do his job, and he doesn't get back till 4 or 5 o'clock at night. And it's manual labor, and it's tough. But mom needs help. He knows that. He's aware. So what we have tried to do is try to devise a schedule, knowing that the baby needs to eat every 4 hours or so. We came up with times when the baby can be accommodated by a particular parent. If mom is home struggling with this all day long and dad gets home after work, if he's able to take his half hour or 15 or 20 minute one eye open cat eye nap sitting on the couch before it's his turn to start getting busy, we advise that he goes ahead and does that. But at the same time, that he also takes every single available opportunity for the rest of that evening to take the pressure off of mom. And if he does not actually individually feed the child with expressed milk, then he should definitely make himself a part of the feeding circle when the baby is fed. Just his presence there, just the combination of the 3 heartbeats produces a sort of synergy inside of that family that's irreplaceable and unreplaceable. So I'm just looking at how that process can be alternated, how that process can be distributed rationally, safely, and sanely without creating some issues is one of the things that definitely works. But we typically try to make sure that the young man does the last feeding prior to his kind of appointed hopeful time of being able to lay down and get some shut eye during the course of the night. He gets as much as he can until that next feeding cycle at like 2 o'clock in the morning. If it's at 10, he gets up and maybe feeds the baby at 2, but he definitely is the one that does the final feeding in the morning at 6 a.m. before he leaves. And he makes sure that everything is prepared for mom when she gets up and has to do that 10 o'clock feeding, so that she doesn't have to do anything, or she has to do as little as possible, so that he can go ahead and go to work and know that things are taken care of at home. And I got to commend this young man because it was his idea. That's what I like the most.
Yeah. And I do want to say with breastfeeding, we should be breastfeeding every 2 to 3 hours, not every
I'm okay
4.
with that. I'll let them know.
I want to make sure we
All
let
right.
them know, because I need them to breastfeed at least 8 times in a day to have a healthy supply of milk. But
I
you're
got
right, because even women now in this day and age, the mother is often going back to work after a period of time. And we know that if you're a Black woman, sometimes you're going back to work before 12 weeks, before
Sure.
6 weeks, to help support the cost and the responsibilities of the home. So this
Let's
isn't
face
even
it, before you
something.
should.
Right. And and I
Right.
can get that, because it can be like, well, I'm going out as the support person, as the father, I'm going out and I'm working and she's at home, doing this, that, and the third. And how do I come back in and I've been out all day. It's hard, but also think about what your situation is. This mom is soon going to be going to work too. And when she's at work, not only does she have to do her job, but most likely she's going to
You
have
got
to
to do that
pump.
too.
She's
Right.
going to have to pump. And
Right.
then, that is a whole nother beast for a whole nother
Yeah.
time. We'll have to
Yeah.
do a milk minute
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
working moms
Yeah.
and pumping,
Yeah.
for sure.
And
But
the issues inherent in that from
yeah,
workplaces.
the
Yeah.
impact that it has on breastfeeding alone. So, you know, it's one of those things where this is all temporary. And like you said, she's still recovering from birth. Her body's still changing, right? Hormonally, physically, she got a lot of things going on. It's exhausting, and just like mom will have to still come home and breastfeed baby and take cat naps in between whenever she can to get some
Mhm.
restful eye. I think it's just going to be finding a way based on your home environment.
Mhm.
What is going on there? I definitely am a champion for dad is not waking up in the middle of the night to feed baby. I'll be honest. The reason I say that is because mom is less, anytime baby's giving express milk or supplemental milk in a bottle
Mhm.
by the other parent, the mom has to then pump in place of that, because the brain knows
Ah.
that baby's eating, but the
Ah.
breasts don't know that, right?
Ah.
And the breasts are like, well, we didn't get the demand, so maybe we
Mm-hmm.
need to shut down a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because we're making too much milk now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mom is less likely to get up and pump in the middle of the night than she is to feed her baby, because
Okay.
pumping is a lot of work. It is a lot of
Okay.
work. It's
Okay.
easier to feed your baby and go right back to sleep because of how
Okay.
those hormones, really come out
Mm.
into your body.
Okay.
Oxytocin, that makes you tired and
Mm-hmm.
relaxed, and it makes you want to go back to sleep. So I'm definitely a champion of when dad comes in from work, you know, can you feed baby and I'll pump so that I can just, have some time to myself really quickly, have a stretch of time. I'm also a big, if you're not able, or if it's not within your family's lifestyle for you to be supplying baby with a bottle, because we don't need to introduce a bottle very early either.
No.
So
No.
there's other ways that you can do. Mom needs to take a shower. Okay. She may want to just, I don't know, read a book, write in her journal, who knows, paint a picture, anything to, make her feel like herself. And dads can do skin to skin. I met a guy who worked, and I forget the name of the organization, but it's in Homewood. I think it's like Better Block or
Operation Better Block.
yes, maybe that. And
Mm-hmm.
he talked about how he did skin to skin a lot with his son. And even now, as a grown man, his son still comes to him and hugs him. Still, feels very comfortable with being close to his dad, because they had that bonding of their own. So you don't have to feed baby to bond with baby. You can do skin to skin with baby. Just relax. Take your shirt off.
Very true.
You're in your home, you're comfortable. Take baby shirts off, lay there. Baby loves to feel your heartbeat. That's
Very,
comforting to them, right?
very true.
And then sing to baby. I don't care what kind of voice you got. I'm gonna tell you,
Oh,
I'm
you
not the
don't want
best
me
singer.
singing. You don't want me
I'm not.
singing.
I don't have no tune. Okay, but my son would always allowed me to sing to him. He loved it. So I feel like children love that. You can read the baby. Talk to baby about your day. Like, baby needs to hear things. That's how they learn how to talk. That's how
Bonding.
they develop. So you can do other things with baby in that time to give mom some rest.
Certainly can. I second that 1000%. And those are definitely the things that really make that parenting experience so memorable. We also definitely have started to advocate firsts. You know, when we have, for instance, at birth, one of the things I've been asking fathers to do is to record their feelings, the feelings of the first time their child actually opened their eyes and looked them in the eye. What exactly do you feel at that moment? I found that being able to initiate a process like that really is something that strengthens that father's connection to that child and to the miracle that just occurred, which lets him kind of know that life is miraculous in and of itself, and he's a part of making miracles happen. And it gives them strength. It gives them a bounce in their step. You know what I mean? When they start to understand and accept the responsibility for what's coming forward. It's just good stuff. It really is. It's very enlightening. It's very refreshing because it's not a picture that's often painted of our young men.
That was beautiful, Mr. R. You almost made me shed a tear there.
I was like, wow, that was the one right there.
Okay, guys. So last question. What are some resources available for dads in regards to breastfeeding? I know the Center for Urban Breastfeeding, we offer Breastfeeding 1-on-1, which is an educational virtual class for our participants in which they get to learn how our bodies produce the milk, what to look for in poop while breastfeeding your baby, how much your baby should be feeding, the size of their stomachs, a lot of good information. And we encourage our participants, support persons to attend that class. Are there any other resources you guys are aware of that would be available to dads?
I mean, that's the biggest one for me, is definitely attending the class with the mom, because a lot of information is being passed to mom while she's pregnant. And a lot of it you don't retain very well. And I find that like the support person, the dad, becomes the enforcer. Like, remember in the class, this is what they said to do when this happens, or just reminding you, call that number that they shouted out in the class. So, I feel like, there's some things we can't retain everything, even if you're birthing in a hospital or in a birth center or at home, what have you. There may be things you miss in the process, and that you being there as a father, support person, you are going to retain a lot of information that mom may forget because she's tired and she's exhausted and she just gave birth. And even though the adrenaline was pumping at first, she is going to shut down eventually at some point and just want to sleep. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I totally do. In terms of a resource, I would say, hey, we got the Fatherhood program right here at Healthy Start Incorporated, where I might not have the breastfeeding information, but I still have access to the people who can get it to you. Mm-hmm. We are open for business. We are available, and we're able to meet your needs. The thing that we are trying to do here is try to make sure that the services we provide don't come from a roster of services that we think are important. The services that we provide in the Fatherhood program are services that fathers have identified as being of importance and of need for them. We know that in order for our families to strengthen, for our communities to benefit from the strength of families, that the father is the key. We can act like it's not, but the truth of the matter is evident to each of us. Our men are really our future. And the more we can get our men to understand their value, the more solid, more optimistic our future becomes. But it starts equally with us valuing our children. Once we value our kids, we begin to accept a different level of responsibility for what goes on, not only in their lives, but in our lives, most importantly. And it is that change in action and activity that really is the thing that's going to bear fruit in this game. So just connect with someone who can give you valuable, solid advice. Connect with somebody who can at least give you an opportunity to vet your own thoughts, and connect with somebody who does know perhaps a little bit more than you do. And most importantly, understand that there is no such thing as a bad question. The only bad question is the question that you do not ask, because that prevents you from getting the knowledge that can help you. And I firmly believe that when we know better, We do better.
I agree.
So that's our resource, us.
Yeah.
Tell them, hit us up, Bianca.
Yeah.
I will. That was an awesome plug, Mr. Art.
Yeah.
Well, that was our Milk Minutes. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. This was great information. Again, this conversation was presented to you from Healthy Start Center for Urban Breastfeeding. We will be holding these interactive discussions once a month, so stay tuned for our next one and have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Take care. Have a good night. Thanks, you guys.